Ben Vallis here with First of the Floor. Thank you for joining us. Hope you're doing well. Alongside me, two recently Jrue Holiday pilled individuals, Wayne Spooney and Jake Eisenberg. Spooney, how's it going, man?
I'm doing good, dude. I'm doing really good. I feel like we're all Jrue Holiday pilled at this point after some of these performances.
Yeah, that's a good way to describe me. I was definitely forcing. I was hiding the pills under my tongue as the nurse left the room, and then I was spitting them out. But yeah, I'm gladly taking them now.
Dude, I'm taking them intravenously. Fucking pills.
Yeah, waking up every morning, pouring that pill bottle down my throat. It's an unhealthy lifestyle, but we're all about it. Look, very, very quickly here, and hello to you, Jake, as well. Quickly here. Hit that like button, or if you're listening to the show, please leave a 5-star rating and review. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. We just hit 3,000 subscribers on the First of the Floor YouTube channel. Why not 5K? Why not us? Go and subscribe. If you just want more Celtics content in your life, click subscribe. It's not a bad team.
70 wins, 5K subscribers.
That's right.
It's all coming our way.
Check out Spooney's latest column for Celtics blog, 3-Leaf Clover. The link is below in the description, as is the link for the Celtics blog playback room. Jake, we had an awesome time hosting last night with Jackson and Joe also of OG Celtics Reddit podcast fame. Both popped into the playback room. And we're back again Tuesday night for the Sixers game, right, Jake?
That's right. You and me. Dynamic duo. I think that's who's on. Yeah. Awesome.
Schedule clear, I hope.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. The Celtics are 45-12, guys. They have an 8-game lead over the Cavs in the East. They've won 8 straight games, including 8 straight on the road. Pretty much everyone looks the best version of themselves coming out of the All-Star break. And Spoonie, the Celtics beat the Knicks, bing bong, pretty convincingly last night. What were your thoughts on this one?
First of all, I forgot about Bing Bong.
It's over. It did not last long.
No, it did not. So, first of all, can I just say I've been like whispering 45-12 like I'm having a psychotic break
it's
an absurd.
It's very good. It's very good.
45-12. My wife's like, what? I'm like, oh, nothing. Dude, that is nuts. 33 games over 500. So that aside, I think so. Jake and I were just talking about like the formula to beat this team and how the Knicks probably traditionally have like the things you can do to beat this team with the way they attack the offensive glass. And, they got a lot of 3-point shooters. They can spread you out. And the first half was kind of terrifying. I don't have the numbers here. They're in one of my many tabs, but they bludgeoned us on the offensive glass. Like Hartenstein was all over the glass. Like
7 in the first half.
7. Yeah, that's insane, dude. Mm-hmm. And just like really frustrating, and Brunson was doing a really good job, just like getting into his spots, hitting some shit. Maybe don't go down in another game, like, and hadn't gone down against us in previous games this season. And then you look up at the scoreboard, and the Celtics are down 3. And in my head, I'm thinking like that's like as bad as it kind of could have gotten. Mm-hmm. And we're still like, I'm very confident they're going to turn it around in the second half. And then I think the biggest takeaway for me is like, remember when we were worried about third quarters?
Yes.
Our net rating before December 1st was plus 0.2. Well, since then it's plus 9.4 in the third quarter. So that is like just totally a thing of the past. Massive third quarter. It was even a bigger third quarter than it ended up being, because I think we were up by like 17 at one point and they cut it down. And only plus 9 in the third quarter, but held the Knicks to 26 points. And after they took 21 threes in the first half, we limited their attempts, only 6 in the third quarter. So I thought the defense really ramped up, the rebounding really ramped up, and they just kind of took the game over.
Yeah, the Knicks came out, and obviously, look, they're missing Randall, they're missing OG, so that has to be taken a little bit into consideration. I mean, it still ends in like essentially a blowout. But the Knicks, like MSG, national TV game, it was very clear that they came to play and wanted to try and punch the Celtics in the mouth, try and take this game, try and steal this game. Because anything can happen any given night, and they came out hot. And this is what they do. They're second in the league in offensive rebounding. And the Celtics, that like if you're going to kind of nitpick at anything right now over the past like 10-ish games or so, it's the defensive rebounding, down to 7th in the NBA on the season now. And the Knicks still rebounded well in the second half. They had 8 offensive rebounds in the second half. The difference was the 3-pointers were massive, not just limiting the Knicks attempts, but man, this is like everything that we're screaming about with the Celtics offense, people saying the Celtics take too many threes. They weren't taking enough threes. They only took 14 in the first half, despite shooting above 60% from the field. And it's like, why are we only up 4? Why can we not kind of like get separated here and say, oh yeah, we're taking like a third of the 3-pointers that we usually do. Came out in the third quarter, and it's like, you don't want to just jack terrible threes, but you do want to make an emphasis to take threes. Like, we have incredible shooters across the board here, and all of a sudden start taking threes, lead gets blown out, and we kind of didn't look back from there.
Yeah, it's what Missoula Ball is predicated upon, is the math of 3 points worth more than 2, and therefore you should take a certain amount of threes. And yeah, 14 in the first half, like you said, Jake, 21 in the second. But
that's the number.
I can just imagine they were just getting anything they wanted in the paint. I think Jaylen Brown led the way there, but the Celtics in general were just shooting at such a high percentage at the rim. I think it was 83% at the rim in the first half on incredibly high volume. So you can imagine just being enticed of like, I can just score layups and dunks, basically whatever I want. Of course, I'm going to keep going into the bucket, but the math just doesn't add up. If you keep notching up 2 points instead of 3, sounds like a simple brain take, but it's legit. Then you're just not going to put up as many points as you need to win against another modern NBA offense. But in this one, early when it was close, the Knicks were attacking Kristaps Porzingis in drop coverage there. Jalen Brunson, probably like a top 5 candidate in the league as far as like guards to feast on that drop coverage. And early, and you know me, guys, I tend to like emotionally overreact to certain things as far as like what might be the downfall of the Celtics. And the question that the league is asking right now of this team is, what are their vulnerabilities going to be come playoff time? And the Knicks did a good job exposing a potential vulnerability early, and this is why we need to start coming around as longtime Celtics fans to like having confidence in the C's down the stretch. And if it's a close game at the half, understanding that they're going to make the necessary adjustments and come out and find a way to win. Because throughout this game, they adjusted the level at which Porzingis came up to defend the screen. We had Al Horford come in. Like once they had just gotten too much out of the Porzingis drop coverage, Al Horford comes in. They start switching everything. Al's like blocking Alec Burks at the 3-point line, still playing drop effectively, posting up mismatches, just being an incredible version of Al Horford, and just putting the versatility of this team on display. Like, okay, you're going at our 7'4" Latvian Moses / God. Like, okay, here's another godlike figure with beautiful eyes to defend your guys coming off of screen. So just an amazing adjustment from Joe at a surface level in this game, and just amazing display of the team's versatility overall.
Yeah, and I thought JJ is awesome in the booth, by the way. I absolutely love him in the booth.
Yeah, Doc, see, into the Bucks, bring JJ in, perfect, dude.
What a massive upgrade for not the Bucks, but all the viewers.
Yes.
But he was on this, and it's like, okay, Brunson got his 34. He had 9 assists. But I didn't think like every time he touched the ball, 5-alarm fire, we're scrambling around, and he's just like eviscerating us with like what Tatum was doing to the Knicks on the other end, where it's like he's getting downhill. He's not getting the assist every time. Almost every time he's not getting the assist or not scoring, but he's generating that initial penetration that scrambles the defense, and then we're just feasting nonstop. Brunson really wasn't doing that. He was getting his, but because we're so talented defensively, because we have Horford who can just come in and play a different style of defense to KP, it's like, all right, Brunson, you get your 34 and 9, but we're basically going to shut down the rest of your team. And that to me is just not a good way to win against the Celtics. Like, you just need to do what Oklahoma City does, get the ball popping, multiple driving kicks, and the Knicks did it occasionally, but I didn't think they did it regularly enough to really attack the defense, and it really showed in the second half, I thought. And like, that's why, we talk about like the Knicks are a fun, good team, but I just think like long term they have some serious limitations on both ends, really.
Yeah, and attacking the drop, right? And all drops are not created equal. The Atlanta Hawks playing drop versus the Boston Celtics playing drop are two very different experiences. And like Brunson, right? So he has 34 points on 25 shots. Like, that's good, obviously. Yeah. Like, good game. But at the same time, only 9 3-point attempts out of his 25 shots, right? So like, he has to make so many of those mid-range jumpers. And like, in a game, in a series in particular, the way that like you start to adjust. I think KP in particular, I think is going to really benefit in the playoffs and as the season goes along, and like being able to go back and watch film and be like, okay, I'm a little too deep on some of the drop coverage possessions where he like wasn't even contesting some of the Brunson stuff, and then in the second half, he had one really good contest where it was probably close to a foul, but it was like a Brunson kind of floater. But yeah, it didn't get called, and then Celtics go back the other way. Like, if you're forcing him into those mid-range jumpers, as long as you're getting contests on them, and like he doesn't have to be right there. He just has to be in the general area and just make it a little bit more difficult because of how long he is. Yeah, I loved the way that they kind of changed a few things going into the second half. Joe Mazzulla doing good coaching things. Who would have thought? But yeah, man, like both against the Bulls and against the Knicks, like they were struggling to get KP looks in the Bulls game, posting up against Vooch a lot of the time in the first half. And then they went to like this double screen action, which led to Porzingis getting matched up onto non-Vucevic guys. And it's like, okay, this is what we want to see from Mazzulla and the Celtics. It's like, how can we adjust things at halftime and come out and both games in a row, it's the other team keeps it close and the Celtics blow the doors off in the second half.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, we see some comments coming in through the chat here. Love hanging out with you guys in the chat. Keep these questions coming. Maybe we'll get to some of these as we branch out and start to talk about Tatum and Brown and some of the individual performances in this game. So keep those questions coming. Just with regards to the drop coverage, not to harp on it too much, it should be worth calling out. You know, I called it a potential vulnerability, but it was clear also to the credit of the Celtics that that's what they were willing to give up. That's how they were like allowing themselves to be attacked. And then the adjustments were simpler. I think we've covered all of them. Maybe we didn't cover the fact that they actually put KP on Josh Hart for an extended period from the second quarter onwards. Like basically the least advantageous screener from the Knicks perspective. We'll put KP on him. If you want to call Josh Hart up to set the screen, okay, go for it. And then we'll adjust again from there. But it just meant that, you know, if they did call up Hartenstein, we had guys like, I don't know, the Stock Exchange or Tatum and Brown on it who can switch those coverages. So just completely shut down the Knicks attack from that standpoint. Anything else from a macro level, guys, on this one before we move on to individual performances?
Just business-like performance, man. It's like you're supposed to come in, win. The line is like, I think, 7.5 or 8 in both the Bulls game and the Knicks games, and you just destroy them. These teams can kind of keep it close, hit them with their best shot, and then they're just blowing these guys out.
Dude, the Knicks, not an elite defense, but 12th best per cleaning the glass. They looked helpless against the Celtics attack, dude. Like, friggin' helpless. And, like, Randall's a bad defender, so he doesn't help that. Missing OG, okay, maybe that's the excuse, but holy shit, I'm not sure he could change. I mean, they were, like, chasing ghosts out there, man. It was awesome. That third quarter, I just tweeted out, like, this is a fucking offensive clinic. Like, this is insane, dude.
and, like, we can go, I mean, we hit Tatum now, but, like, Tatum in particular, like, there are certain bigs and shot blockers that he's just comfortable attacking. And Mitchell Robinson didn't play today, and Hartenstein, they're two bigs. I mean, you want to throw Precious Achiuwa in there. Yeah, he's not worried about Achiuwa. There are certain bigs that Tatum is really comfortable against. Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson. I went back and watched a bunch of Tatum film for a video that I'm making, and there are so many highlights of Tatum attacking the Knicks across the board. Josh Hart, DiVincenzo. He's really comfortable against Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein. And so it's like if your only answer to the Jason Tatum problem is OG Anunoby, and then it's like it's just not good enough. You need multiple answers. You need multiple guys that can slow him down. And by the way, we've got like 4 years of film of Jason Tatum like not really having an issue with OG Anunoby. As elite as OG is, just like not the type of guy that is quick enough that typically has given Tatum a huge amount of trouble.
Not to mention Julius Randle, who the biggest concern from an opposition standpoint has been his proclivity for injuring us, let's say, with his cannonball drives into the paint. Well, let's move on to the Jays here. Maybe we can, by way of answering this question from Francisco Fernandez, he asks, what do you guys see the big difference in skill set when it comes to Tatum and Brown? So I guess looking at that through the microcosm of this game, Tatum, awesome game. Like 15 field goal attempts in the entire game. Just like, from my perspective, like just sat back and like he was the maestro in this game and orchestrated both the offense and the defense and gave the game exactly what it needed and not a thing more. I think I counted one potentially boneheaded pull-up three-point attempt.
Oh, yeah.
But even then, it felt like he was kind of due for it because he'd been playing so well to that point. And from his perspective, he's probably thinking, oh, let me just test this and see if I've got the pull-up shot tonight. And then I'll just go back to being literally the perfect human when it comes to this game again, which is exactly what he did. And then for Jaylen, just making himself available in transition. And this wasn't a very transition-heavy game on either end, but making himself available for scoring opportunities and attacking mismatches and things like that, and as a maybe the number one option for Jason Tatum to find offense. So I thought the Jays gelled really well in this game, Spoonie, and really their own individual skill sets were sort of put on display.
Yeah, there's just like, especially with OG out, there's just nobody on the Knicks who can handle Jaylen Brown. Like, he was just bullying, like literally bullying them, dude. Every time he touched the ball, he'd just get into the post or like these straight line drives. He had a couple where he just like looked like he was going in slow motion and guys were just like falling off of him, and he just like would lay it up, get the flex, probably got fouled, didn't get the call lots of times, but you know, we're used to that at this point. And like, this is a game I'm not sure Jason Tatum plays 2 years ago, maybe not even last year, where I think he only took 5 shots in the first half.
Yep, 3 for 5.
Yeah, and it was just like, I'm just going to either, you know, if they're singling me, I'm going to get downhill and I'm going to make a play. And if they're going to send a double, I'm just going to accept the double, take an escape dribble, really pull the defenders away from the paint area, and then I'm going to make the perfect pass out. And like, the 6 assists does not do his passing justice. Like, dude, he was just like diming people up, but our team is so good. Like 4-on-3 against the Celtics team when it's like Jrue Holiday, Porzingis, even with the bench and Hauser and Pritchard, like those guys can crush 4-on-3 situations.
Makes me
and
so
they
happy.
did.
I just,
Dude, like,
Ben's just sitting back there being like, keep going.
Yes, it's so good. It's so good. Yes, yeah. You can't see my hands.
Like, it's like if you try to play Tatum straight up, like, or a Tatum KP pick and roll straight up, like, you're going to get absolutely torched by one of those guys. And then if you send help to Tatum, like, Jaylen Brown's going to go for like 35 on your ass on like 20 shots. And there's just nothing you can do. And like, Tatum wasn't even really making threes. Like, I mean, it was just an awesome performance. Jaylen only went, I think, 3 of 9 from 3. Yeah. So it's not like those dudes were like splashing threes and like that's an unrepeatable performance. Like, everything about that performance for both of those guys was totally sustainable. And like, I just like, at this point, they're so mature in the way they approach the game that there's just nothing you can do to really defend them.
They're really good. It's a really good question. Like, what's the difference between? Yeah. Put that. Yeah, that's going right in the special folder on the laptop. That's for sure. There's a really good question. Like, what's the biggest difference between Jaylen and Jason? Because, you know, they are obviously similar. Like, they're wing scorers. Fire and Ice, El Fuego, and what's the ice one? What's
Yellow? H-I-E-L-O, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm sure I nailed that pronunciation.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect. Beautiful accent. You know, Fire and Ice, like they do just really complement each other really well. Like Tatum's a little more like smoother, laid back, but I mean, like, the biggest difference between both of them is like the basketball IQ and the feel, and that's like why Jason's always going to be the better players, because he's able to read the game in a way that Jaylen isn't quite able to. But the physicality that Jaylen Brown is playing with at the moment, and that's the thing, not to say that Tatum's not playing that way either, but Jaylen, it was a ridiculous game. Through the first 3 quarters, he was 12 for 16. He ended up being 1 for 8 in the fourth quarter, but like, I think he was kind of stat padding towards the end there. Like, he wasn't really moving the ball. He was like, he was going to the rim. He was forcing up some nonsense. He had like a fadeaway 3 at the very end as well that kind of skewed the numbers a little bit too. But through 3 quarters, when he was doing the right thing and he kind of like tried to get out of himself, maybe get some All-NBA votes potentially, he was just like, the post has completely changed this team as a whole, but in particular, Jaylen Brown, like, yeah, good luck, New York Knicks. Like, okay, AJ Anunoby's on Tatum, and now Jaylen's going up against DiVincenzo or Josh Hart or Jalen Brunson. And Jaylen's biggest weakness, the turnovers and the handle at times, you know, forcing the issue. The fact that he's now able to just turn his back and back guys down, smaller, get right to the rim, left hand, right hand, or lead the NBA in fadeaway percentage. Michael Jordan just fade away. Like the ridiculous, like the shot difficulty on some of the stuff. Like anytime he gets to a fadeaway, I'm like, I've never been more confident that a shot's going in.
And first high-scoring game for JB in a while. He last had more than 30 points back on January 22nd against Dallas. And I don't want to call it like a downturn for Jaylen Brown, because this whole year the theme has been about sacrifices, and with each different opponent, the ask of the Celtics as a team is different. And so it's not to say that Jaylen has been less good, just that he's been less important contextually in a game-to-game basis against the opponents we've seen since then. But in this one, it's a great matchup for Jaylen Brown, like you guys have said, and he comes back out with 34 points, 30-something points. Why haven't I written that down? A lot. Yeah. He had a lot of points, and it was great.
A lot of points.
This is what I wanted to ask you guys. Jason Tatum, he played 43 minutes, and that was maybe like the one major criticism of Joe after this game. To me, and you guys have touched on some of these factors already, it wasn't a particularly strenuous 43 minutes, in that really his main role was to just go out there, attract the double team, escape dribble, like you said, Spoonie, and then just find the open man. And I have not played basketball in any important capacity ever in my life, but I would imagine playing at that level and playing that role within the team's offense is a lot less strenuous and less of a load on the body than 43 minutes of like, I'm the go-to guy, I'm Giannis, I'm barreling down into the paint in every possession, and and getting my hands dirty and getting knocked over and getting to the free throw line. Like, it wasn't really that. It was a different style of basketball. So do you see, Spoonie, that 43 minutes as problematic?
You know me. I hate minutes. No more minutes. Playing 30 minutes.
No more minutes.
Don't play.
I agree on the offensive end, but like Tatum was playing his ass off on defense, dude. And like he's asked to really rebound against the Knicks, and he was getting in there and mucking it up on the glass. He was not a good rebounding game for him, but he's still down there fighting. So I do think that's too high, dude. We're 45-12. Like, if we lose against the Knicks because Tatum played 36 minutes instead of 43, who really gives a shit? But Joe as JJ Redick said, he's a sicko, dude. Like, I think he just gets in his head, like, I want to win this game, and Jason Tatum is, our best player, so I'm gonna keep rolling him out there. And he just was so good on both ends that I get why it's probably difficult to take him out of the game too. It's like, oh, go get him, Sam. Go get Tatum, buddy. So like, it's for me though. It is definitely too high.
So okay, firstly on the Tatum defense, it's a great point. Like, he has been ridiculous, and we don't need to do the MVP discussion, but Tatum's played the best defense out of any of the top 5 guys in the league this year. Giannis has had a down year defensively. Luka, forget about it. Jokic, forget about it. Shea, good defender. But like, Tatum can literally guard 1 through 5. If it's not fucking Jokic or Embiid, like, bam, he was guarding Hartenstein yesterday. He can switch onto Brunson, Halliburton. He offers real rim protection. Like, you name the defensive role and he can do it for you. The defense on Brunson. I got the clip here for everybody because it's just ridiculous.
Celtics are now 5 of 6 from 3-point land here in the third quarter. Brunson against Tatum. Picks it out in the corner. DiVincenzo off the bounce. His floater's up, shot no good. Rebound tipped and taken by White.
Well, exceptional individual defense from Jason Tatum. Just exceptional. The start, the change of direction. Somehow stays between.
There's like not a lot of guys can deal with him, dude. Like, even Derek and Jrue, like, when you need one stop, one guy, it's very clearly Tatum to me. Like, it's incredible, his foot speed, and it's not just like the foot speed, because like Jaylen in theory should be able to like cover some of the smaller guys as well, like due to his size potentially. But Tatum, like, again, going back to the IQ and the feel, the anticipation on defense to know like what Brunson's trying to do, where he's trying to lean, how to stay down on a pump fake, and then the size and the length, like, it's incredible. And it's almost like he's an elite cornerback. Like, he's Darrelle Revis or Richard Sherman in the NFL. Like, he doesn't get a lot of these possessions because teams know it's like, there's no point, dude. Just don't even bother trying to ISO Jason Tatum on the perimeter, because it's not going to work.
Yeah, I talk about it all the time. He shuts down entire quadrants of the half court, which is an eighth of the court. Anyway,
I was going to say on the minutes, like, I think there's a couple of things. One, they had 2 days off after the Knicks game, and they have 2 days off after the Sixers game before the Mavs game. Secondly, I'm wondering if they're going to use this next stretch as a way to like do like a mini playoff ramp up, because KP played like a bunch of minutes in the Bulls game, which was weird, and then Tatum playing 43 minutes. Like, do they ramp up for this next tough stretch and then do something like it's gonna be interesting to see how they handle this monster lead in the standings, which is just like just doesn't happen really. And so it will be interesting. Maybe that was part of it. Okay, this is what it feels like to play 43 minutes as you're going to do in the playoffs. Hard to say, but there's a few factors. I'm not worried about it because it's Tatum.
Yeah, it's a little far out from the playoffs, I think, to maybe be looking at that ramp up. But what do I know, right? I'm not a part of any coaching staff. I'm just an Australian Celtics podcaster from many kilometers away. I wanted to rather shout out Kristaps Porzingis because I talked about him through the lens of a defensive vulnerability and the Knicks attacking him and drop. But bit of an offensive bounce back in this game. 3 of 4 from 3, 7 of 11 from the floor overall. Got to the line, hit all his free throws, 5 of 5. Just like the unicorn, the Latvian Moses, the bear slayer that we've all come to know and love. And the mere threat of his three-point shot from many large Latvian paces from behind the three-point line has been a threat all season. When he's actually hitting them at an incredibly high clip, 75% in this game, the threat skyrockets. It's ridiculous. And this is the sort of Celtics play that is the catalyst for the conversation that we've seen online, which we'll get to in the Schadenfreude Report in a little bit, about what do you do about the Celtics team? Like, it has all opposing fan bases, and I'm sure front offices as well, freaking the fuck out, guys, about what you do about this team. Because I heard on another podcast, I think it was Still Potable, about like what teams might do in the playoffs. And from a percentage standpoint, just give up the three-point shot to Porzingis was one of the ideas they came up with. And I think that has some legs. But if he's going to start hitting them, then like fuck off. Like, you can't do anything. It's ridiculous.
Counterpoint. Over the last 15 games, Kristaps Porzingis is shooting 45.2% from 3, which I didn't know until before I looked at the numbers here. But that's fucking insane. That's a pretty big sample size. Yeah. And like, if he's like now on his 3-point trajectory, he's like, okay, now he's comfortable. Now, like, for whatever reason, he's hitting his threes. Yeah, that's not an option. And like, watching the game yesterday, the confidence of this man, and he absolutely should be this confident because he's an absurdly talented, skilled player and has been for the majority of his life. But it's like, he's just so confident, dude. Like, tough shots, shot clock contested, big moments in the Garden, like whatever. He's just so confident, dude. And then he just like trots back, winking at everybody
with a grin.
He's like, yeah, that's what I do. And so like, I personally would not recommend that as a strategy, but that's the point. That's what we're clinging to. Yeah. It's like, what's the best way? Is okay. Let this unicorn shoot threes, I guess.
Yeah, he's shooting 39.5% on wide open threes for the season, and that includes like a kind of rough shooting stretch. Yeah. So like, not super viable as a defensive strategy to leave the dude who shoots 40% from 3 wide open. So I mean, but yeah, you're absolutely right, Jake. Like, I don't have if I had like the answers to solving this like Celtics offense, I would probably be a pretty damn good NBA coach. So I really don't know what know what you do. Maybe I mean, like, you can't let Derek White shoot threes. You can't. Jrue Holiday shooting 60% from the corners. Like, there's really nothing you can do. Maybe you just hope KP has 4 terrible shooting games, but also like, it's really hard for NBA players to just let somebody shoot a lot. Yeah. Like, their natural instinct is like, I'm going to get out there and at least give some type of contest. And that's all he really needs. Like, he had that one pump fake from 3 and like drive to the lane against New York. And it's like, this is absurd that a 7'3" guy can like put it on the deck, get to the rim and lay it in. So like, he is just such a problem for defenses. And then when you combine them with the Jays, like it is unsolved. They have the best offense of all time, like literally right now. Yeah. So I mean, no one can figure it out.
Do we want to talk about the Enlightenment, Jake? I see some comments coming through.
Yeah. This is as good a time as ever, I guess, and we can talk about whatever we want, I guess. But Kristaps was asked in the presser, like, why is the pick and roll between you and Derek so good? Or why is Derek so good at running the pick and roll with you? And here's the clip. It's 34 seconds long. It's basically if I get asked how great Derek White is, and Kristaps gives pretty much the exact same answer.
Why is he so good at running the pick and roll? D-Boy's just, man, he's so good. He's like so good. I don't know if you guys realize like how good he is. Like the way he plays basketball is just like, man, how is this dude like just so good? Like it's incredible. So I love playing with him, and he always finds me, and then we keep building chemistry as the year goes, and it's been an absolute pleasure playing with D-White. Thank you very much, guys.
You got some company.
Why is he so good?
Well, we can watch it again.
Yeah.
It's been an absolute
right in
pleasure.
with our analysis.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. It's been an absolute pleasure playing with D-White. And so, like, I don't know, I was just watching that and I was like, man, Kristaps feels like a dude that's just reached enlightenment at this point. And so I was like, I know we've been calling him Latvian Moses at this point, but is he not Latvian Buddha potentially as well? And shout out. I didn't make this one. Someone on Twitter replied to me. If you're not watching the YouTube, if you're listening to the audio, it's Buddha with Kristaps Porzingis and his tongue out superimposed on it, and it's beautiful, but it's the reality of his life and our lives right now. And he's right, dude. Like Derek White, if we want to transition into the D White experience, but like he had this one play where like the shot clock was winding down, nothing was really going. I forget someone was kind of trapped in the corner. D White wasn't even like, the spacing on the possession wasn't awesome. D White's on the wing, and D White just like takes off before the ball gets to him, and whoever gets the ball to him, Derek White's already attacked the closeout, and he gets straight to the rim. And I honestly can't even remember what the result of the possession was. I was just like so aroused by Derek White's attacking of the closeout and like saving the possession and turning it into a positive one, whether or not that shot went in or not. Like, and that's the beauty of Derek White. Like the fact that he's turned into a fucking 50, 40, 90 guy is just absurd. But like why a lot of us fell in love with Derek White to begin with was because of like all these little micro things where like he attacks closeouts before the ball gets to him to like save a possession that's going nowhere, which is like really important for this team. And it's those little things that make me fucking love that guy.
Yeah, he is the perfect role player.
Yeah, he really is. And like defensively, he's basically doesn't make mistakes. He's like dominating with shot blocks, and like Brunson got him a few times, but like usually D White's rear view contests are really good, and they were really good against Brunson. It's just Brunson's that good sometimes. Like you're gonna bother a shot, and he's still gonna make mid range jumpers. Like that dude is great. But like it's not like he was screwing up the defensive coverages. Like that stuff just kind of happens. And I think on a team where you have two lead stars whose decision-making has absolutely improved, but isn't like elite level, like Chris Paul level decision-making. Like the value of Derek White just being able to like turn a bad possession into a good one, like you said, Jake, and like absorb some of like the decision-making burden almost in a lot of ways is like just really helpful. And like, I think it's just like overall basketball skill, because he's not like, it's not aesthetically pleasing to watch Derek White like hit somebody with a cross. Like he's kind of upright, like, it's not like and one hot sizzle type of stuff, right? But it's like ruthlessly effective, and he just like immediately accepts all the space he needs to. His like understanding of spacing, and if he's going to get a shot block, and like going off like wrong-footed layups or like wrong-footed floaters, and like that lob he threw to KP. That was a tough pass, dude. Like Hartenstein almost got back to it, and that thing was like inch perfect. Like he's just so damn good at basketball on like in every facet, period.
Well, look, we're not done on the Knicks game, but as usual, because we've got so many awesome things to say about the team and every individual on it, we've run over time. So we're going to take a break to hear a quick word from our sponsor, and then come back and talk about Derek White some more and Jrue Holiday, aka the Stock Exchange. But first, a quick word from our sponsor, FanDuel. Get buckets with your first bet on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook, because right now new customers get $150 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $150 if your bet wins. Bet on all your favorite NBA players and teams with quick bets, live same-game parlays, exclusive props, and more. Just visit FanDuel.com/Boston and shoot your shot. FanDuel, official sportsbook partner of the NBA. Just pick the Celtics to win every game. I think it seems like a safe bet.
Exactly what I was going to say, dude. Like I've bet the Celtics on the line, the handicap, the last 2 games. It's just like it's kind of money in the bank right now. Mm-hmm. They're doing the thing.
Well, look, we had to run that ad read, sooner rather than later, just because we've got sort of time constraints there. But we haven't talked about Jrue Holiday, who has been awesome. Jrue and Derek, they combined for 25 points, 5 of 11 from 3, 12 assists, 4 steals in this one. We already talked about KP's just total inability to articulate Derek White's greatness. Meanwhile, I said this at the top of the show. Everyone has looked the best version of themselves coming out of the All-Star break. Derek White, his three-pointer is back. His little shifty, crafty floater in the lane is back as well. And, we don't even need it, is the crazy thing. There have been times throughout the season where we absolutely needed Derek White to be that version of himself. Now it's just like a sick indulgence. You almost feel bad for indulging in, and yet it's there. And then all the while, Jrue Holiday probably having his best stretch as a Celtic thus far. We've talked about already 63%-ish from the corners. That's probably gone up after him going 100% from that range in the last couple of games. He's finally really figuring out how to slot in offensively and then just defensively, having always done Jrue Holiday things, Spoonie. It's just we're almost 40 minutes into the podcast now. We're just talking about amazing Jrue Holiday because that's how sort of far down the hierarchy he is, and yet he's been amazing.
Yeah, it's such a luxury to just be like, oh, hey, Jrue Holiday has Dante DiVincenzo on him. Just throw it to him and let him post up. And he had 2 or 3 nice post ups where he got all the way to the rim and made the shot. And then defensively, I feel like he's really started to settle in and he's been everywhere. So maybe this dude just needed a week off for the All-Star break or something like that because he's been all over the friggin' place. I think that first half against New York was maybe his best defensive half of the season so far. It just he was popping up out of nowhere, just cutting off driving lanes, just annoying people, getting into Brunson a little bit. Although Brunson got him, man. Brunson had an awesome game. There's no doubt about it. But I just thought Holiday was friggin' awesome on everybody but Jalen Brunson, essentially. And if he's finally, I think, truly accepting the fact that he is not the lead point guard on this team anymore. He's just you're not that guy. I think it was unnatural for him for the first several months of the season. And he was willing to do it, but it's just really hard to readjust your brain on a basketball level to turn into the fifth option. And now it just seems like he's striking the perfect balance.
Yeah, and the last couple games too, the post-ups and the finishing around the rim's been good. And that's been something that he struggled with a little bit throughout the year. And it hasn't mattered at all. And even if that doesn't get fixed, that's not really a massive issue. But last couple games, he's been much better at finishing around the rim, crafty, bullying guys. It is nuts. You talk about maybe what's the way to beat the Celtics? It's it might be to try and make Jrue Holiday do the most. As far as the decision-making stuff goes, maybe it's you're forcing him to do a lot, but it's he's going to be on either your 4th or 5th worst defender. So it's does that mean he's posting up Dame, Malik Beasley, Patrick Beverley, Tyrese Maxey, Buddy Hield, Darius Garland, Jalen Brunson, DiVincenzo? He's just really good there. I mean, and the shooting numbers, it's nuts. I don't know about you guys, but mentally it took a while to get past the no yes thing. I don't even need to try anymore. I'm just yep, that's fine. Just go for it, bro.
Yes, Drew. Put him up. We love it. Miscellaneous points from this game as we try to sort of move on. Al and Jalen, this is the leading misc point, both said post-game that they think the C's can get to another level, Spoonie. What does this mean to you? I think the standout things are second chance points, giving up too many extra possessions is probably something they can tidy up. I actually loved, just to throw in another misc point, Sam Hauser coming in and soaring like a beautiful bird for several defensive rebounds and ending possessions. That was great. But that seems like the most obvious thing that they can clean up. And then just little things just being more fluid on switches and having better intel going into certain matchups about where Kristaps should be relative to the level of the screen and little things like that. But does anything else stand out to you there?
I think big thing is you've got maybe a top role player big on the bench here that has played 2 minutes for your team. So I think Tillman can give you something different than Cornette does. And Cornette has been really helpful. He's been great this season, but Tillman's just got a different skill set, probably a more valuable skill set in a playoff atmosphere. So if you can integrate Tillman into this team as well, that can absolutely boost you. Another level to me means you go from like a good to a great team. Like there's nowhere else for this team to like. They are great. They are completely elite. I don't like another level feels a little hyperbolic from Al, but for the most part, yeah, like you tidy those things up. Look, they're only the third best defense in the NBA. I guess they could be first on that end as well, like technically. And I think like if you fix the things you described, Ben, that will jump up. The rebounding to me just kind of feels like regular season stuff. I'm not super worried about it, but there is an argument. Like if you switch 1 through 4 a lot, you're going to get some weird mismatches. Like you're going to have Tatum up above the key guarding point guards at times. And he's been like the best defensive rebounder on the team. So that can get exploited in some matchups, I guess. So if they tidy that up and they get the defense flowing at like 100% mind meld way like it was with Udoka, then maybe another level. But I'm like, dude, at some point it's like you can't be perfect, and they're getting pretty friggin' close.
Yeah, new level might be tough, but like here's the thing: this is the first year this team's been together. Obviously, you've got Tatum, Jaylen, and Al have been together a lot. Derek now into his third year, but he obviously came at the deadline, so he's obviously gotten incredibly more comfortable. But Jrue and Porzingis, like as you said, Drew's clearly becoming more and more comfortable, especially coming out of the All-Star break. And I think just from the offensive chemistry perspective, that can just get cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. The more comfortable they get, the more experience they get, the more reps they get. It's going to get more comfortable. They're going to get more confident. Like earlier in the season where it was like Tatum in particular was like hesitant to give Porzingis the ball on a switch, and now it's just automatic. Anytime there's a non-big on Porzingis, it's just that's the job. So little things like that, it's almost like hard to think about what those scenes can be till they start to kind of pop up. But yeah, Ben, that's absolutely one. I think that's one that definitely sticks out. It's like KP dealing with drop coverage and KP dealing with stretch bigs. I think those would be like the two defensive things. I think of all the things that we've struggled with, those stick out. And then the Tillman thing, this is a tricky one because like they're the best team by a lot. Like they're historically great. And it's like, do they need to do anything? I wonder if it's a little bit like Tillman coming off that knee injury. I know he's off the injury report, so I guess you would say like he's fine, but maybe that's part of it. But like, yesterday, like maybe you would have liked to have seen Al and Tillman double bigs instead of Al and Cornette double bigs. And you go to a switch everything lineup. But Cornette's been super solid. He was awesome in the Bulls game. Solid yesterday. Tillman's not an elite rebounder. That's not like his thing. Like he's kind of undersized, so like he's not going to come in and fix the rebounding issue necessarily. But I absolutely would love to see him. We've got the Jazz and the Blazers back to back coming up in a week or a week and a half. So we'll definitely see him then. But I don't know like how you can really make a super strong case for getting Tillman in there right now. But as someone that spent a lot of time putting together a lot of Tillman content, I'm hyped. I want to see him, dude. I want to see him switch onto some guards and stuff. So I'd like to see him. But that's definitely a tool in the toolbox that they haven't gone to yet. But maybe Brad's just like, no, we're gonna trade for him, not play him. No one's gonna offer him a contract, and then we're gonna re-sign him for this extension, and then he's gonna come out and turn into Al Horford. And maybe that's what he's thinking, you know?
Yeah. Again, just the ultimate luxury and embarrassment of riches, where Luke Cornette has been so good in his role that it may legitimately be difficult for Xavier Tillman to get minutes on this team, even down the stretch run here. Look, we've got almost 120 people in this stream. If all of you hit the like button now, first of all, thank you for joining us. If all of you hit that like button, that would, I guess, be the most likes we've ever had on a live stream. So I compel you to do it. And obviously that helps us with the algorithm.
It takes 5 seconds.
In front of,
less.
Yeah, less than that. It's literally a twitch of the finger. Just do it now. And it helps put this show in front of more people, which is obviously great for us and potential guests. I always say, Brian Scalabrine doesn't get out of bed for less than 20,000 subs, so help us get there.
We're getting there.
That's right. But we're having fun here. This is great. We're going to now get to the very awesome Jake Eisenberg-inspired Schadenfreude Report.
Sarah, I cannot believe.
That's right, guys. It is the Schadenfreude Report, and the haters are sick, I'm being told, Jake, as we look around at other fan bases' disdain for the Celtics after the Bulls game and after the Knicks game. It feels like it's an unavoidable reality that the Celtics are as good as they are. So what are you seeing around the Celtics and NBA Twitter sphere on this?
So it's been awesome. The tears are really feeding the soul. It's the Peter Parker in Spider-Man 3 where he turns into Venom and he's like, "Are you gonna cry?" It's just everybody is so upset. And I think this tweet here really speaks to how like the NBA Twitter's feeling. Tatum's so spoiled, man. Never had to sit through a rebuild. Never had to be in the trenches. Just playoff appearances and stacked teams since drafted. And it's like people have resorted to being like, it's not fair. Tatum's team's too good. Yeah. What the heck? Like, there's no more like, oh, Porzingis, it's not going to work. It's no Jalen can't dribble with his left hand, or Derek White's a role player, or Al Horford's old. It's just like, it's not fair. It's not fair, this team. Jason Tatum only has to take 15 shots and the Celtics can win by 20. And the irony of like the Tatum stack, he's become the target of the ire as like the Stephen A. Smith inspired Tatum MVP push has kind of happened in the midst of the All-Star break. Has been like Tatum is playing his best basketball of his career, I think, pretty easily. Like, he's not putting up the same 30 plus numbers. Like, maybe the 3-point percentage isn't like 40 plus, but pull up threes from January to now are like 38, 39%. But the way that he's seeing the game is at a place that he's never been before. The way that I think it's incredible that like he is able to tell what the game needs. Like, that is something that I don't think he's had before. It's very LeBron-esque. Like, it's very like game one in a playoff series. Like, don't do this, Jason. But like, doesn't try very hard in game one because he knows like he's going to feel out and then it's going to be a 5-game series. But like Tatum to just take 5 shots in the second half. He did it in the Bulls game as well. He just goes nuclear in the third quarter. And man, the physicality that he played with. Sorry, I've gone on a Tatum tangent here, but like he was just going straight through Jericho Sims, like straight through guys. So Tatum's playing at a level that he's never had to play at before, and everybody's upset that because his team is so good that it's just making everybody mad. And so my main counterpoint to this like Tatum's been on stacked teams thing. One, I'm sure we can go through like how it's like kind of factually incorrect, but like was everybody this upset about Magic Johnson? That's what I want to know, because Magic Johnson literally was drafted onto a team with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and like ended up making the finals. Like I looked it up. Magic Johnson is like 258 and 230. I mean, the Lakers are 258 and 230 all time. All the games that Magic missed in his career, they have about a 54 winning percentage, which is like above a 500 team. Tatum, been over this, 16 and 20, 36 games missed in 7 seasons is firstly insane, but it's a 44% winning percentage, which is like a 35, 36 win team. It's like, this team in particular, this is basically a super team. I have no issues with that. I'm very happy about it personally. Big fan of the super team. But like before this year, not the case. The on-off numbers last year with Tatum were absurd. And the finals run, as soon as he took like 30 seconds on the bench, the team collapsed. Like, this has been the first time in Tatum's career where when he's off the court, they can still be really good. And so people are upset about it. I mean, sorry to hear that, everybody.
Well, and just... Well, go ahead, Spoonie.
Yeah, well, I was going to say to the net rating thing, 2021, they were minus 1.3 with Tatum off the floor. So super team that would have been under 500. 21-22, they were minus 1.9 when Jason Tatum was off the floor. And then last year, I believe they were like plus 2 with Jason Tatum off, plus 2.9 with Jason Tatum off the floor. So a nice 46-win team with Tatum off the floor.
Nice. There you go.
Yeah, so yeah, there's your super teams. Like, Tatum's teams aren't so good. Jason Tatum is so good that he makes his teams good. Like, that is what people aren't grasping. It's like, what is like the thing that is in common with every team Jason Tatum's been on? It's Jason Tatum's on the fucking team. Why don't people grasp that? So it's just like, it's stupid, and you're right. They're just grasping at straws because I think they know what's going to happen in about 3 months, dude. Like, this is the year. I'm telling you, this is the damn year.
please, God, we need it so badly. I think everyone here understands and feels the same way. We're due, and that's the thing with Tatum. So many stars shake themselves loose of the team that drafted them early in their career because they're unsatisfied. They're becoming impatient, maybe with the incompetence of the front office building the team around them. And Tatum has played through some non-super teams. So here's another tweet. It refers to the super teams that Tatum has played on. So 17-18, drafted to the number 1 seed. He then went on to be the best player on the Celtics playoff run that year with Kyrie and Gordon Hayward out. And this is with other really good players on the team. Tatum was by far and away the best player on that team, rather. 18-19, choked with the super team. 19-20, choked with the super team. As a 20-year-old. 20-21, choked with the super team. 21-22, humiliation at the biggest stage with the super team. So the 2022 roster, this is the finals team, right? It's Jason Tatum, obviously. Jaylen Brown, great. Huge drop-off after that. Not to diminish the skill and quality of any of these players, but a 35-year-old Al Horford, Derek White, a.k.a. Herrick White, a.k.a. first-year Derek White, and then an injured Rob Williams, and I'll give them Depoy Marcus Smart. But it's not exactly brimming with superstar talent. And that's the team that made the finals, led by Jason Tatum. 2020, 2021, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, injured Kemba Walker, Jeff Teague, pre-enlightened Rob Williams, pre-empowered by Ime Udoka, Rob Williams, Romeo Langford, Shemi Ojale. I'll stop there. Where's the super team, guys? It's ridiculous.
We lost Jaylen for the end of that season as well. Kemba's knee had turned to dust. The team that he took to the conference finals in the bubble as a fucking 21-year-old, so impressive, man. Hayward goes down early. No Al Horford did. Daniel Tice. Love Daniel Tice. One of my favorite, random role players ever. Not a starting fucking center on a conference. Not a starting center on a conference finals team, dude. Just not that guy. Brad Wanamaker was the fucking sixth man who's out of the league now. So many, it's hilarious. But it doesn't matter. And the Celtics are continuing to roll.
And yes, it's a super team now, but he has been patient with the team, with himself, with his teammates, with the fan base, admittedly, at times, including us. We've been detractors. I know Joe is in the chat here, our New Zealand correspondent. He's been a heavy Tatum detractor at times, rightfully so. And yet we've all been patient with one another. And yes, it's a super team now, but it's through sticking with it that we've gotten there. And Brad and previously Danny have done a great job leading us to this point. It hasn't happened overnight. And a huge part of it, I would argue, is that Jason Tatum is such a quality of character and player that people want to play with him and people want to stick with him and re-sign on the team that he plays for. So to diminish that by just saying he's been gifted all of his good fortune from day one is absurd, but that's what opposing fan bases do. There's another tweet here from Ben Steiner who says, "You're starting an NBA team from scratch. Would you build around Jalen Brunson or Jason Tatum?" I would argue Jaylen Brown over Jalen Brunson at this point. It's a ridiculous premise to set, but it's just to shine a light on the ridiculous discourse going on about the Celtics at this point, as if it isn't earned or deserved or anything else. It's crazy.
He also makes it easy to build around. He's such a malleable player, and that's something that he does not get enough credit for, is that you can build a team a variety of ways. And Jason Tatum can fit in. He can be, heavy usage. He can scale down in this way. It does not matter. He can play in all those teams that he's played in. It's him making the machine go. And that's Kevin Durant is kind of the other guy where it's you can plop him onto any team context and that team's just going to be absolutely supercharged. And Tatum's exactly the same. Catch and shoot on the ball. What position on defense do you need him to play? You name the role that you need him to play and he can do it at an incredibly elite level. And I'm so glad that he's on our team, and I'm so glad that he fucking loves Boston, and I'm so glad that he's about to sign a fucking 5-year Supermax contract. It's going to be awesome.
$400 million or something.
Yeah, dude.
And you know what I think is the most frustrating part about this is in one breath, they'll talk about his super teams, and then in the next breath, they'll start making fun of Jaylen Brown and saying how he isn't good and shouldn't have been an all-star. And it's so which is it? Do his teammates suck, or are they a super team? So, it can't be both. And, It's funny you're making fun of Jaylen Brown because he's cooking your asses like every other night. You know what I mean? Like, he just had 30 on the Knicks. I bet there's a lot of Knicks fans who are deleting some tweets about how Jaylen Brown can't go left after he's like punishing Jalen Brunson and putting him in the basket and laying it up on him. So it's really stupid. And like, I think part of it is just like people absolutely hate the Celtics and they hate winners. And right now the Celtics are both of those things. So they're going to get a lot of hate and they're going to get a lot of inconsistency in their arguments. But I will say, I'm impressed with the national media is doing the opposite in a lot of ways. Like JJ seems like really big. Like the Celtics team's awesome. Stephen A. Smith of all people saying like Tatum. That's I have some tweets about how I love Stephen A. from deep. So it's one of my character flaws. I just think he's fucking. He's hilarious.
No, he's awesome, dude.
He's killing it right now.
Yeah, he is. That's right. So I will say like I think if you like get beyond like the trolls on Twitter, like the grander media is like saying like this team's awesome and easily the best team in the league. So I try to focus on that, but man, do they make it hard, dude. Do they make it hard?
I think the correct response to everybody when you see people complaining that it's unfair, just be like, yeah, you're damn right it's unfair. And it sucks to be you and it's great to be us.
Blame the Brooklyn Nets, man, for trading the picks that they traded for an already aged KG and Paul Pierce that are putting us in a position to be simultaneously the 1 seed with the Isaiah Thomas-led Celtics while also trading back with the Sixers for the number 3 pick to get Tatum. Oh, man.
Blame the Washington Wizards, dude. Blame the rest of the NBA. Anyone could have traded for Kristaps Porzingis. The Warriors that did the Chris Paul trade could have easily traded Chris Paul for Kristaps Porzingis. And if they had done that, they would probably be like a fucking top 5 seed right now and be looking terrifying. Can you imagine Steph Curry and Kristaps Porzingis playing together and Draymond Green on the court at the same time? It's terrifying. Thank God Brad Stevens does not allow that to happen because that would be very, very bad. But the Latvian Buddha is on our team. Thank the Lords.
And thanks for the 2 firsts, by the way.
Oh my God, it doesn't end. It's the best. We're having fun here. Now let's wrap up on this. We're playing the Sixers in a couple of days. A notable absence there. They're missing some guy who apparently was an All-Star and is quite a good NBA center, and apparently once was an MVP. Of course, we're talking about Joel Embiid. As I attempt to hate on him, but I can't really. Like, he's been great this season, and we wish him all the best.
Man, you can tell how much they fucking miss him. Jesus Moses, they are a dumpster fire.
Dude. So let's talk about it. They lost quite brutally to the Bucks today, Spoonie, but they are our next opponent, and regardless of who is suiting up for them, we do hate them quite intensely. So what are your predictions for this matchup with the Sixers?
Hey, man, they almost got us earlier this year when none of their good players played, too. So, although that was like Pat Bev led, and he's obviously not there anymore. Right. Yeah. So they have a minus 8.1 net rating in February, which is just absolutely pathetically bad. That's like a top 3 pick status. And the one guy I've been like focusing on is because he was anointed the next All-Star. Like he's better than Jason Tatum conversations at the beginning of this year. And it's Tyrese Maxey. Since January 1st, 43.5% from the floor, 37% from 3. Good. That's fine for a point guard. 55.5 true shooting percentage. It's okay for a point guard. And 33% on pull-up threes, which was like his weapon. That's what made him so devastating, so difficult to guard in those first like 6 weeks of the season. And it's just kind of gone now. So he's sort of a different player. He's way overstretched being the number 1 option on like a good team. And they've not been good since he's had to do that. So it would be a pretty bad loss if we lost to this version of the Sixers, honestly.
Yeah, it would. It would be similar to the Lakers loss where we lost to Austin Reeves. So it is funny, like after that Lakers loss, I remember so I tweeted out right before that game, we could be looking at a 14-game winning streak. And like, if we hadn't lost that game, we're fucking like right there, dude. And so like we've won 8 in a row all of a sudden, the biggest active winning streak again because the Mavericks. It's so funny. Every week there's a new team that pops up on these national podcasts. It's like the Mavericks, everybody, Luka Doncic MVP. They're 18-1 to win the West, and then they just fucking get cooked the next day by someone. They just got blown out by the Mavs, by the Pacers today. But look, anything can happen in one game. But the way that the Celtics have looked in these first 2 games, especially with 2 days off, I would be pretty shocked if they lose this game. Especially just the way that the Sixers are constructed, like. They don't have any size. Like Paul Reed's going to be their starting center, and then Mo Bamba might be the worst player in the NBA. Maxey might, but just lock in. and get another win, get some rest. But yeah, and then it's onto the stretch where Ben, I probably stepped on you a little bit there, but we have the Mavs and Warriors at home after that. And I was looking at the Mavs schedule. They just started their road trip today. Pacers, and then they have a day off, and they play Cavs, Raptors on a back-to-back, and then the Celtics. So it's just like, well, that's a nice. And then we have 2 days off after the Knicks game, 2 days off after the Sixers game, and we get to play them at home. So that's a nice spot to just like hopefully kick the shit out of them and get some narrative praise would be nice.
Yeah, I'll just drop in there real quickly that the Sixers in the last 2 weeks are 2-3. This is per cleaning the glass. 25th ranked offense, 16th ranked defense, 22 overall in point differential. So they've been shit. Let's just call it what it is.
Yeah, awful.
Yes, but it's the first game of a little 3-game homestand here after 2 games on the road after the All-Star break. So Sixers coming up. Hopefully we win that game. They've, like I said, been terrible, so we should. Then the Mavs, who have that difficult stretch coming up to their game in Boston. And then the Warriors at home, which is like... one. Of the remaining games, there's the Warriors, there's the Nuggets 2 games later on the road. But it's this Warriors and Nuggets game. We've got the Suns twice, once on the road, once at home, after the Nuggets. And then it's like it's breaking out of the storm. You know, like in the Truman Show where they turn off the bad weather and it's just like angelic singing and he like makes it. It's kind of that point of the season. And then it's like Wizards, Pistons, Bucks, Pistons, Bulls, Hawks, and Trae Young, you know, we wish him the best, but he's just gone out with hand surgery. So we get to that point and it's like now we start seeing Xavier Tillman a lot. Now we start to see Peyton Pritchard playing like 28 minutes a game or more. That'd be nice. Just as we give the guys a rest and start to take some of that load off the Jays there and more importantly, Al and Porzingis as we head towards the playoffs. So we're almost in our Truman Show turn off the weather phase of the season, guys, to bring that analogy home. So tough stretch here and then we're out.
I thought you were reading the Sixers and Bucks first half schedule when you went Wiz, Pistons, Bucks,
I know.
Pistons, Bulls, Hawks.
Yeah, well, it's finally our turn, almost.
I know, dude. Seriously.
I don't want to jinx anything. Obviously, can't technically jinx anything, but like, obviously, we're on currently like 64.6 win rate, I think, right now. So if we beat the Sixers, it moves up to 65. There's a world where like we end up getting into the 67 range, like just because the schedule gets so easy. I don't know. They're just playing so fucking well. They don't lose games anymore. And like, I don't know, maybe they lose a couple of these big ones, but then the schedule gets so easy. Anyway, I don't know. It doesn't matter really what the number is that they get to, but it would be pretty cool if they end up getting to like 66 games or something.
That'd be nice. It seems like a good place to leave it on that little fantasy, guys. All right, that's going to do it for this one. Come and watch the game with us on Tuesday night, playback.tv/Celtics blog, and then back here on YouTube for Celtics late night after the game. We've got our finger on the pulse here, guys, as far as the vibes around the team, this moment in Celtics history. We're having fun. We're having a good time on the podcast. So make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, etc. It's a great time to subscribe to all of our stuff. Spoonie, Jake, love your work, guys. Until next time, go Celtics.
I love